Hello,
and welcome back to
the Nick,
the Jake,
and the movies. Oh, we did it.
We're back, baby.
Episode 9 or 10.
Yeah, because of the Lost episode.
Yeah. Nick and Jake's bogus journey?
Yeah, Nick and Jake's extraordinary
extravaganza
yes
of stuff.
Of podcast animation.
And things that we've missed.
Welcome back. It's been a while.
It's been forever.
Yeah.
It's been over a year, I think.
Has it really?
I think, if not over a year, just about a year.
I think you're right, because I think we started in May of last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did it for about 3 months.
Yep, we did it during the summer, and then I moved away to college.
Yeah, and I stayed exactly where I was.
You stayed in my basement waiting for me to come home.
Every week at the day we would record, I turned all the stuff on and I waited, and you just never came.
I just made sure to unlock the door.
Yeah. Like your family would walk down and just see a pair of eyes in a black room.
Yeah. Like when you shine a flashlight at an animal's eyes, just like, shing, like the eyes light up.
Only the flashlight is the laptop light coming into my face, and I just look up at them dazed.
They leave a little bowl of oatmeal for you at the stairs every day.
Some water.
Yeah.
Next to your dog's bowl.
You get a bucket as well to piss and shit in.
That's more than your dogs get. Like
they get true.
Well, no, it's not. They get the entirety of outside.
That's also true. They get the lawn.
Yeah, which is a lot bigger of an area.
It's a lot more real estate.
And probably a lot more comfortable, I would imagine.
But we're back. and I'm back home. I graduated college.
Good for you.
Thanks. It
What?
sucks.
I was going to say, you want to talk about it?
No. I'm unemployed. It sucks.
That's the college trap.
Exactly.
That's why I always say, don't get an education, kids.
And look at you now.
Exactly where I've been. So, actually, in the last year that we haven't, what movies that you've seen do you remember the most, or spoke to you the most?
Oh, wow. Well, the one I watched most recently that I gave 5 stars to was actually Thief by Michael Mann.
Okay.
I think I told you about this one.
Yeah.
James Caan plays an ace safecracker.
Nice.
Who's doing pretty well, and he wants to get out of the game. He found a nice lady. He wants to settle down with a family and a house, but there's a catch. The guy he works for now requests one more job from him.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And he's got to do it, and
Yeah.
Problems arise.
Ah, okay. That's a very basic plot, but
Yeah, it was very a basic plot, but I think it was made in 83
Yeah, that's
or
fine.
84. So it was probably pretty fresh at the time.
yeah. Well, you can make something that basic today, as long as the characters are interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just you look at something like Star Wars, and
Sure.
Without good characters, that would be the goofiest movie ever made. With all the weird sets and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that little tiny tipping point between being like Flash Gordon,
Yeah.
and being Star Wars.
Yeah, totally.
Is I actually care about the characters.
Yeah,
and I like them.
Wasn't there? I think we watched some behind the scenes of it where, they're doing the whole Death Star set stuff, and all the actors are we don't know what the fuck.
Yeah,
we're doing.
yeah. Mark Hamill has talked about the bar scene.
Right.
You watch it on TV or Blu-ray, whatever, and it looks good because it's supposed to look good. Obviously, it's a movie, but he talked about it as they were just these weird puppets that aren't working right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just chaos in the set, and it makes no sense.
Yeah.
And apparently, when he was talking to his girlfriend, who would become his wife, of it later on, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna be in this new movie coming out?" He's like, "Yeah." Yeah. And she's like, "What is it?" He's like, "Well, it's kind of like Star Trek, but not really." She's like, "Oh, I love Star Trek."
Uh-huh.
And she apparently, I believe she loved it, but he did not expect anyone, because I don't think he saw the cut before it happened.
Oh, really?
But yeah. But no, I mean, there are so many. John Wick, really. John Wick is a character I care about. The two things that make that movie work is I care about John Wick,
mm-hmm.
and the gun scenes. But you could go without that. Like, the gun scenes don't have to be there. It's just an added flavor.
Yeah.
Although I think for the second and the third one, they have to be there.
Yeah, I mean, John Wick is a case of what is it? It's a trope called "girl in the freezer."
Oh, I don't think I've heard that.
Something like that. It's basically that the motivation for confrontation or the problem is a dead woman.
Oh, okay.
And in this case, it's John Wick's dog.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Which is actually, I think, a really great twist on the trope.
Well, it's an extension of it, because it's still...
Exactly,
yeah.
It's basically the last remaining piece that he has of his wife.
Yeah, exactly. And that's perfect. Like, you don't need all the crazy gun sequences that just helps. That's flavor.
Yeah, I feel like if it was just a normal action movie where it was just like, decent action.
Upset Keanu Reeves
just walking through New York while it's raining at night. It would still be pretty decent, but it is the gun foo that really makes it.
Oh, yeah, it makes it what it is.
Click.
So, you said it was called Thief?
Thief, yes.
Was there anything just like really stand out?
James Caan's acting was really great.
Yeah.
The action for back then was also really great.
Nice.
Jim Belushi's first movie.
Oh, yeah, you did tell me, but I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, and he's really good in it.
Good for him.
Other than that, that's all for Thief. But for the other movie that I saw recently that I was like, that's an amazing movie, was Dr. Strangelove, or How I Stopped.
I've been trying to watch that for a while.
How I Stopped Worrying and Learned to Love the Bomb.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. But amazing movie.
Yeah, I've heard.
So good.
It's Kubrick, right?
Kubrick, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been trying to get the Criterion one forever, and I just,
do you really?
Yeah, I don't have it. I've been trying to get it.
Oh, right.
And it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But every time that I go to buy it, happens to be the only time that I go to buy a movie and don't have money. Every time I try to get that specific movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was good, right?
Oh yeah. I loved it, and I was watching some like behind the scenes stuff on it, and it's based on a book, and the book is Dr. Strangelove is very much a comedy.
Okay.
Like a dark comedy.
Yeah.
But the book is not a comedy at all. It is and it is just a warning about the Cold War and nuclear annihilation and stuff like that.
That makes sense.
But Kubrick was writing it, and he was like, this is funny.
Really?
Like, yeah, and he was like realizing how ridiculous like the people in power are, and how like having your finger on the button is just like completely like idiotic.
Yeah.
And he brought in a couple other scriptwriters, and they made it a comedy. And the main actor, whose name I'm totally blanking on right now, he actually was the guy who played Clouseau, the guy from the Pink Panther
It's
movies.
either Peter Sellers or Peter Weller.
It's Peter. Oh yes, you're right.
One or the other.
It's an Eller.
Yeah, it's an Eller. Because he's also in the same actor is in one of Stanley Kubrick's first movies, Lolita.
Oh, Lolita.
Yeah,
right.
Which I own. I have that movie.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have a collection of like 8 Kubrick movies, and I like went through all of them. And Lolita was one of the first, and the reason why was because David Lynch was asked what his favorite Kubrick movie was, and it was Lolita.
Oh, and he said Lolita?
Yeah, he
That's
loves
awesome.
it. Yeah, and I also like that movie, but it's hard to say to people that I like that movie because of its subject matter.
Because what it's about. Yeah.
But it's really it's about that, but it's really a character study of a mentally ill man.
Yeah,
You know,
I mean, some of the great movies of all time are about subject matters that are quite taboo.
Yeah, and it is in that idea of like watching this man who is already not a good man just get worse and lower is interesting.
Yeah.
And Peter Wellers or Sellers,
Peter,
our friend Peter.
Yes.
He plays a villain of sorts.
And
And he is phenomenal. Like I had never even heard of him before, but he's one of the greats I found out later. But yeah, I like Lolita. That's a good one.
So in Dr. Strangelove, he plays a British sergeant at the base where the call is put out to like send like nukes off.
Okay.
He plays the president of the United States in the war room.
He plays multiple characters?
Yes.
That's
and
great.
he also plays Dr. Strangelove.
Okay.
Who is this ex-Nazi scientist who is entirely comedic and wacky as hell.
That's awesome. I love it.
He is so funny in that movie. It's ridiculous.
Good. I'll give that a shot then.
Yeah,
well, I've meant to forever, but
it's a tight 90 minutes too. Actually, I think it's like 140, but like it's a shorter
Okay.
shorter
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
and it just goes by, and
Good.
you're gonna be laughing the entire time.
Good.
And let me see, what else did I watch that was like a 5-star movie? Oh, you know what? I have a new favorite Nolan movie.
Oh, it's don't tell me. I know this one.
Uh-huh.
I know the Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Yeah.
Yes. I watched Dunkirk, and I was like, I heard this movie's good. I mean, it's like, it's about like a specific time in the war.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I felt so like connected. And like,
I get you, Nolan.
yeah, it's like oh my god, this movie is amazing. And like, I think it might be my favorite war movie of all time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen too many war movies. Most of the war movies I've seen are really old.
Yeah.
The Dirty Dozen, which was the inspiration for Suicide Squad.
Oh, was
like
it
the
really?
comic book.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like, and now it's come full circle, and James Gunn has made a movie that is inspired by the movie The Dirty Dozen.
That's hilarious.
Which it was all about. Which that's one of the things I saw over the last year. But it's like Donald Sutherland's first, if not one of his first movies.
Mm-hmm.
So he's real young, and it's this guy. It's not George Kennedy. I forget who plays the main character, but he kills it for like those 60s, like late 60s, early 70s era. I'm gonna be real stoic and talk real loud type of actors.
Yeah.
The dude, the main character in the Dirty Dozen is awesome. He's really good.
So what's it about?
Is
it just like a Suicide Squad thing?
It is. It's like an extent. Like Suicide Squad feels like an extension of that.
Uh-huh.
So basically, the idea is they need a like heavily, like really dangerous mission done, like the army does. So they get somebody who's good to lead these people, and they construct a group to teach how to fight out of death row inmates,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll get parts of their pardon off, parts of their sentence off,
Right.
partially pardoned depending on what they did.
Mm.
And so he has to make sure that these crazy, potentially incredibly dangerous people are all will listen to him
Mm-hmm.
and do what he wants when the time is right. But they also have to work, because this is not a bunch of other military personnel do not know that they are doing this. So they have to pretend as hard as they are that they actually are military, and they are very mischievous. So there's a lot of hiding around and things like that. It's like a 2-hour and 40-minute movie. Mm-hmm. Where it only gets to the mission that they're all together for in the last half hour.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like one of those. There's a lot of war movies like that, though.
You know what's funny? I mean, we talk about movies we love and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and we're like, oh yeah, it's 2 hours and 30 minutes. It's like a 3-hour movie, and that's just normal for us.
For us, I think about that all the time.
And then you'll hang out with someone, and you're like, oh, this movie's great, and you'll put it on, and then they'll see the time, and it's 2 hours and 54 minutes, and they're like, I'm not watching this.
I had to split Zack Snyder's Justice League up into 5 parts with my dad.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
Yeah, into five different sections to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was worth it. I mean, I've seen that movie a lot.
We'll talk
get to
about
that
more later.
Yeah.
But Dunkirk,
yeah.
just such a good movie, and it's one of those that takes place over a single day. It's on a timer. And one of the best things, I believe it's Hans Zimmer who does the score.
That's shocking.
He incorporates a ticking clock as a big part of the score. So the entire time it's just tick tock as really intense war scenes are happening, and it's so tense. But other than that, I've just been at school. I've been doing D&D with my roommates for a while now. And then I had another podcast with my roommate Remy called Dude's Roll. That's all about Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. But yeah, I think that's just about me. So what about you? Do you watch anything really good recently, or what are you?
I don't watch
up to?
anything for the last year.
You've just been
like I said, I've been in
laptop.
your basement. I wasn't allowed to use your TV.
The electricity was turned off down here.
Okay, so. Quite a lot. I've seen a lot of things in a year. But I guess standout, God. I'm trying to think. I watched every Guillermo del Toro movie.
Nice.
I watch every Guillermo del Toro movie. I watch every David Lynch movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one other director that I finished.
I still think I haven't seen Kronos. I think I've seen all of his other movies.
Have you seen The
except
Devil's
for Kronos.
Backbone?
That's the one about the kids in the orphanage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
You've seen that? That's a great movie.
Yeah, it's really
I
good.
love that movie.
I remember seeing that a while ago.
Oh, yeah?
I think I saw that before Pan's Labyrinth, and I don't know why I watched it.
They're sister movies, but
Right.
they are, I love them both to death.
Mm-hmm.
His Spanish, except for Kronos bored me a little bit.
Right.
But it is also like his first movie, and it was interesting. It's very, I call those three movies the Mercedes trilogy.
Oh, really? Why?
There's a female character named Mercedes in all three of them. And that's only in his Spanish films. That's not in any of his other movies.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I noted, and they're always important. Like in every commentary track, he mentions specific things about them.
What happened
I
to
know.
Gilmo?
Who
Concerning,
hurt you?
yeah, exactly. Well, that's another thing with David Lynch and Judy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Where Judy is the name of all evil, and he used to have a high school girlfriend named Judy.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think that's him just being petty, or do you think that's him just like...
I don't think he that might just be coincidence.
Yeah, I think it's total coincidence.
I doubt, considering the life he's had, that he would wait 60 years to make her the source of all evil.
Yeah.
Like he could have done that in any movie.
It's so funny.
Well, I mean, but it's also like, maybe you're right. Because The Return, and that's when she's mentioned in Firewalk with Me, but like you don't see her, and that could just be a throwaway thing that he added onto later.
Yeah. But
like The Return is really a culmination of all of his work. There's references to pretty much everything in that work. In that, like references to things he did 40 years ago, even to the point of this scene of Dougie Jones walking onto an elevator, just like Eraserhead. Yeah,
straight up.
Yeah, and so maybe all of his work has been pointing to "fuck you, Judy."
Yeah,
you broke my heart.
His whole career is like, you didn't go to prom with me. You dumped me for Brad.
Maybe she hated really existential, like works of art. So that's what like really fueled his fire.
I mean, apparently he was super popular in high school, which is super funny considering who he is.
I don't believe that. I think that's rewriting a history.
You think that's him just like retconning his own
I was
life?
very popular in high school, I'll have you know. Like I don't he probably was. What do I know?
Me and my Woody Woodpeckers were great. We had our own clip gang.
Me and my friend Monty Montgomery. I love that name.
Yeah, it's great.
Anyway, yeah, so I've seen all of his. I think because Pan's Labyrinth became one of my favorite movies ever. Oh, another Do the Right Thing.
Right.
Easily Do the Right Thing.
Which I also saw for the first time.
Oh, that became my top 5. Like, that was up there. Instantly, too. I love that. It made me think a lot. Very funny, despite its point.
Yeah, totally.
You know? And the acting's great. Like, I had never seen Danny Aiello in anything before.
Who's that one?
He is Sal, the owner. Yeah.
Right. He's great.
Yeah, oh yeah, he is fantastic. And that's what I'm doing now is I'm working through. Since I saw that, I got it on a lark because I've heard from a lot of people it's great.
Yeah.
So I bought it just to see it and like, it's so good. And now I'm watching every Spike Lee movie slowly because there's like 30 of them.
Yeah, I actually haven't. I've seen a few of them, but off the top of my head, I can't like be like, oh, I've seen like a good amount. You know?
Oh yeah. I think I've seen like 5 now.
Yeah,
5. Yeah. So yeah, the Kid Detective was another one that I like. The Kid Detective was like that blew my mind as well.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, we can talk about that for a second.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
that whole movie.
We recently watched it.
Yeah. Yep. Me, you, and a friend of ours.
And you were like, I'm tired. I just got out of work, but I will hang out with you guys.
If we watch this movie.
If we watch this movie. And you guys came over, and I spent about 20 minutes trying to figure out how to put it
Yeah.
on the TV, which was fun.
And then halfway through, you stop to ask the other person in the room like tons of questions.
We had like an hour-long conversation.
And I'm like, movie, please.
But yeah, the movie Kid Detective. Well, explain what Kid Detective is, because I bet a lot of people haven't heard of it.
Well, you know what? It's actually like because of word of mouth, it's getting out there like now because I've heard it from a bunch of people. Red Letter Media was the first.
Yep.
But a week after that, I heard it on the Weekly Planet, and so it's spreading out, and no, it's so basically when this guy was a kid in like the 80s or early 90s. He was like the town's like treasure, like in a way, like he's a literal kid detective.
Yeah,
it is a cute little thing.
He's like the Hardy Boys, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like he solved the mystery of the missing fundraiser money from the school, or who stole this from my locker, and things like that. And now he's 30-something, and he's still the detective of the small place, and the highest accolades he's ever had is he found the money for the fundraiser. And that is it. He's still like finding cats in trees and things like that. But now somebody he had helped not long ago shows up again and asks him to solve her boyfriend's murder.
Yes.
And he, who is not experienced in this, says yes.
Yeah, it kind of relates back to where he really started to fall off as a child. Yeah. Because a girl in his school disappeared.
Who was his secretary?
Who everyone was like, so you find any clues? Like, how's the thing coming? And he's like a literal child.
Yep.
Trying to solve a murder, or not a murder, a kidnapping.
There's so many parts of that like that I could relate to, weirdly enough. Like obviously not in that way. Like nobody ever was like, why haven't you figured out the murder yet, Nick?
Yeah.
But like when he gets a phone call from his classmate and they're like, when do you think you're gonna find her? And he's like, I'm not too certain. And she's like, well, my mom told me not to say this, but we're all really counting on you. I was like, oh no. Oh,
feels bad.
Oh, dude, it really does. Like I felt so bad for him. But I love this movie to death. It is like perfect for me with its humor. Like, even the parts where you guys weren't laughing, I was like, I loved it. And, like, it's so shamelessly a dark comedy.
Yeah, definitely.
And I love that very much, where it's like, this is what we're doing. We're going to have a guy punch a kid in the face and yell, yeah!
Which was hilarious.
That was very funny,
yes.
Yeah. It ends up, for me, being despite it being a comedy, having a very satisfying conclusion. I love that ending.
Yeah.
I love the speech delivered by the villain at the very end.
Yeah.
I think that is perfect. And it goes a completely different direction than you think it's going to at first.
Yeah, that was shocking.
Yeah, and I love that. But that, to me, is a high recommend. That is, like, that and a movie we're going to talk about soon are, like, my 5 stars for, like, the year that we've missed out on.
Right.
So, yeah. What did you think?
I wasn't too hot on it.
Yeah.
If I'm being totally
honest.
honest.
You're wrong, but yeah.
I liked it. Like, a lot of moments had me laughing, and I did find the story interesting. I just think the main character, for me, was a little too frustrating in his sedentary ways, if you know what I mean. Like, he's very much a stunted person.
Well, that's what I liked.
Yes, I know.
That's what he should have been.
I know. That's the ththing. It's like you really were into that and found like that to be engaging. Yeah. And I was like, this is too frustrating for me.
See, I get that is fair, but I can't imagine this story working with a more competent protagonist.
No, exactly.
You know, that's what it needs is somebody, and also somebody who's surprisingly resourceful and smart, despite the fact that they are stunted.
Yes,
that's what I really liked about the character. And he's not a good person.
No,
not at all. And there's points where he knows he's not a good person, where he repeats at the end of the movie. Somebody repeats something that he says at the beginning of the movie, and he's like, "I was just being pretentious."
Yeah,
like it's good. I think he is well written as that.
Yeah, and I really like the actor. I think Adam Brody is his name.
Yeah, that's Adam Brody. Yeah.
I really like him as an actor. One of the funnier moments I thought was when the person who hired him to do the job brought him to this other place to talk to this kid, and the kid's like, oh, blah blah blah. Like she's like, oh, he's a really great detective. He's gonna help out. And the kid was just like, no, you look stupid. Like you're not a good detective.
He asked him a very specific question, and he just ignored the question, and he's like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. and then the main character's just like, well, your dad is gay.
I love that too, because the kid doesn't say anything.
Yeah, so he probably knows, which relates back to like the wife being like, I think my husband is gay. Can you look
can you look into this? Yep. I liked how the little pieces of his cases kind of connected, and I love the idea that like what helps him solve the case in the end is something you see on his desk in the very beginning of the movie when he was a child.
Yeah, definitely.
Which I thought that was awesome. Like, and it has all the tropes of that kind of like actually taken seriously noir movie. Like there's somebody already in your office with a case for you and things like that. Like all of those are still there. And just the idea of him taking somebody who's much younger than him, or at least a girl in this case, like in most of those cases, on this adventure with him and teaching her little points and things like that.
Yeah.
And she was more competent of a detective than he was in a lot of the points of the movie, which I thought was great as well. But no, that's an easy recommend for me.
Yeah. I'd say I liked it. I think some things didn't work for me, but some things did.
Yeah,
so.
that's completely fair. I mean, you're wrong, but that's I like that you have some decent points. But yeah, no, I'd give it a go. Anybody who's listening. But now we're gonna talk.
Oh wait,
what do you got?
I had one more thing I wanted to mention, but now it's losing me. Oh, by the way, I was this is another like little tangent thing. I was watching The Hateful Eight the other day.
Okay. And
I noticed something. A lot of the times, the number 8 comes up a lot.
Okay.
Which I didn't notice at first. Where Samuel L. Jackson's bounty adds up to 8. He's got a guy for 4, a guy for 3, and a guy for 1.
Yep.
And another thing was when there's that whole scene, they pick up Walton Goggins, and they're driving and they're talking about Mannix Marauders and how Samuel Jackson burned down the Rookie Regiment camp and all that stuff. When Samuel Jackson is like, I burned it down and I'll do it again. If you listen closely in the background, there's put into like fire and screams in the background of it, which I did not notice, and I've seen that movie like 4 times now.
Yeah, I've seen it more than 4. There's a point like last year, the year before that, where I'd watch it once a month.
Right.
Oh, I love that movie.
Well, before we get into other stuff, I wanted to talk about how we've been now that I'm back and for like good, basically. We've been hanging out more.
Yeah.
And we've been hanging out and watching movies on your projector.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually started watching Hateful Eight on there.
That's awesome.
But I didn't finish it. I don't remember why. But I will. I actually watched Kagemusha on there yesterday.
What's that? That's a Kurosawa, right?
That's Kurosawa, yeah. Basically, it's there's a like medieval Japan, like more than half of his movies. And there's a like 50s or so warlord. And like all the other people that he's fighting have like a lot of respect for him even, but they are at war with each other. And he always has had a double for him in case of emergencies, and that's his brother. And his brother finds a peasant who was just on death row for stealing coins, who looks identical to the war chief. Or a warlord.
Oh.
So they use him as a double.
Right.
But then the warlord dies.
Oh, no.
So the council, who knows that this guy was a double, decide, because of the final wishes of the warlord, to keep this guy pretending to be they make all the decisions, but he pretends to be the warlord for the next 3 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And and he's just stuck in this position where he has to listen to them, do what they need, not fuck up, and he's also being haunted by the ghost of the warlord in his dreams. So he's having a horrendous time.
The main character is the double, right?
Is the double, yeah.
Okay.
He is the Kagemusha.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which I think translates to Shadow Warrior.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and he one of my favorite parts is like eventually they find out, like pretty easily do they find out in the end. After like 2.5 years, they find out by accident.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He falls off a horse, and one of the dude's mistresses was like, he doesn't have a scar on his chest.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so
Wow.
when his grandkid runs up to him, they're like, this is not your grandfather. And so they have to come clean, and they give him money, like as like, so you're on your feet, but he's spent the last 2.5 years in luxury, and he's very much like, no.
Yeah, I
like,
want to go back.
He's
back.
in all peasant clothes again. He's like, but, and then he keeps like kind of wandering back in, and they have to like, no, get out of here. Like,
that's awesome.
yeah, it gets really sad, and I'll say like, at first, usually it would be the opposite for me. Is like I usually love all the action scenes and Kurosawa stuff, and he usually does like people drama well. But the action sequences in this, which were all like war, like they were all grand scale, bored me to no end.
Really?
But the character drama, which was the most of the movie, was the best part. But I almost fell asleep during one of the war scenes. And I'll tell you what, it's a little shocking he didn't start filming in color earlier.
Was that in color?
Yeah. Yeah, because that was 1980.
Yeah.
And there are lots of movies where maybe it was a budget thing, but like that he probably could have used color. Like it was around and used often at that point in his career. He probably just didn't. And he utilizes sunlight so well, like natural sunlight. There is some amazing shots of like just soldiers marching that I found more interesting and compelling than the actual war scenes.
Right.
It's just like this beautiful shot of these 4 soldiers like just kind of sitting around, and they're somewhat silhouetted, but you can still see them. And then above them is a hill with all these soldiers marching, and just the sun is silhouetting them all because it's perfectly angled. And it is one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen. It is great in this fucking old 1980s Japanese war film, war epic.
Would you say that Kurosawa is your favorite director?
I don't know. He's up there, but he's also like, it's hard to say that because it's all things that I've seen before. He's done them the first time, but I've seen them since. Yeah, and I've never seen one of his movies and thought. Well, actually, you know what? I was gonna say I've never seen one of his movies and been like, oh, I've never seen that before. But I can name one where that's not the case, and that would be Throne of Blood, which is like samurai Japanese Macbeth.
Oh, that's awesome!
And
that's so cool.
It's great. It's on HBO Max.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and it is really interesting. It's not too long, somewhere between an hour and a half and an hour 50, and at the end, when like everyone is against him and he's this lone man in this castle that's being sieged, volleys of hundreds of arrows come at this man, and I was just like, Jesus Christ! And he's getting hit everywhere, chest, stomach, everywhere. His armor is keeping him alive, but he's feeling it. And then when he's finally about to go, one goes right through his neck. Oh, and it looks great. That's looks real.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is a Kurosawa movie to watch.
What is that? Throne of Blood?
That is Throne of Blood.
Shit, I'm probably gonna have to watch.
Yeah.
But would you say he's on like your Mount Rushmore of directors?
Oh, like top 4? Like,
yeah,
like
yeah.
You know, in that idea, like the most influential.
Yeah, like not as in like these are the 4 best, just like the 4 for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Yeah, he'd be up there for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would be tough to pick a 4th one because I think.
Well, let's hear what you got.
I would probably be Kurosawa, Tarantino, and Lynch.
Nice
for 3, but I don't know who the 4th. I'd have to think a lot about the 4th one.
You don't got your 4th?
That'd be tough. Maybe Ryan Johnson.
Nice.
Ryan Johnson might be up there because I've fallen in love with all of his movies. What about you?
I'm surprised you didn't say the Coens.
Coens have always. I love the Coen brothers, but that has always been your thing.
Yeah, I suppose so. I would say the Coens, Lynch, obviously.
Yeah.
Paul Thomas Anderson, and if I'm going for someone who's working now and who everything they put out has like excited me and been great, Yorgos Lanthimos.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Those are my 4.
There you go. Okay. See, I don't. There's so many potential choices for that.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
really hard. I'd like
That's like for right now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's
They change all the
ever-changing.
time. Yeah. So yeah, I'd say probably Ryan Johnson would be the fourth for
The
right now.
wild card.
Yeah, yeah,
Ryan Johnson's a great pick.
yeah. He's a controversial pick.
Yes,
He shouldn't be,
I know.
because even if you hate that movie, he's got 4 solid movies anyway.
I know, it's 4 great movies.
It's like everybody saw a movie they didn't like and forgotten that he had made Looper.
Yep. And then they didn't see Brick.
Well, no one saw Brick.
Yeah,
Brick was
You know what's funny? In a lot of reviews I was reading about Kid Detective, they were comparing it to Brick
really
and how it wasn't living up to
I don't.
what Brick has like basically made the neo-noir high school.
That's kind
like
of. I think
mystery.
that's kind of bullshit.
I mean, I agree with them, but
I don't agree with them at all. That's not. Brick isn't a dark comedy.
well, there's some comedic moments.
Yeah, but it's not trying to be a dark comedy. It's trying to be a noir, a noir movie.
I know what you mean. I think what they're saying is it's purely based on what indie neo-noir can be.
Mm.
And they were just like comparing it. I'm not saying that like Brick Kid Detective is what Brick is what blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Either way, it's like Kid Detective is its own movie. It doesn't need to be Brick.
Well, I had a long argument with a friend of mine yesterday because
You argued with someone?
yeah.
No way.
Shut up. You wanna fight about it? Basically, I don't remember how we got onto this, but his question for me, since we had already been arguing about it, was like, well, Spaceballs it's still, despite it being a comedy, it's still science fiction. And I was like, I disagree. Because it's a parody.
It still is science fiction, though.
Well, it is. It's hard for me to say that.
Like, would you not say that Young Frankenstein is gothic?
That they went all out. That's black and white and everything like that. But that's tough as well because Spaceballs is a straight up parody.
I know what you're saying. It's like, does parody make it separate it from the genre that it's parodying?
Yeah, and there are probably a million like arguments that could put me down.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, a parody pretty much encompasses every genre already.
Yeah.
And its sole purpose is to make fun.
I guess there's not really... Is there a comedy parody? I guess it would be like the stylings of like Andy Kaufman style comedy, like anti-comedy.
And yeah, that would be the closest thing.
Yeah.
I think that's really kind of black comedies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they are pushing the button as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's just how it has always factored into my head that like a parody encompasses every genre already. Its sole purpose is to make me laugh in most cases. Mm-hmm. And it's like I had a song example because that was their next question for me. It's like, well, do you consider a parody of a song this because I still consider it the exact same way. Because a hip-hop song could be a hip-hop song, but then when you change all the lyrics, it doesn't matter what it was before. Now it is a comedy song. If it's, to me anyway. Like, I guess technically it would still be a hip-hop song, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think what you're saying is completely apt, and I think you arguing that is complete. It's a thing where it's like you're both right.
Yeah. Like I said, like you could, if you take definitions, you could probably destroy me.
Sure.
In this whole thing, like that is just how I've always looked at it. But yeah, that's me arguing. That's my argument bit for the week. Every week I'll come back with somebody else I've argued with.
That's so funny. Oh, but I wanted to talk about some more of the movies we saw on the projector.
Yeah.
We saw Night of the Living Dead.
That was great.
Which was great.
That was a lot of fun, yeah. Dated, but like I love the movie to death.
But still, it was like, and unfortunately I knew the twist ending, which would have been great if I didn't.
But like it's dated, but ironically not as dated as zombie movies that would come out after it.
Sure.
Like Dawn of the Dead feels more dated than Night of the Living Dead.
Which I still haven't seen. I've seen the remake.
Yeah. You should still see the original.
Yeah.
It's great,
definitely.
But it's like the first one, Night of the Living Dead doesn't feel dated because cell phones wouldn't matter
in that situation.
Yeah,
I suppose. Yeah, you could honestly just have like a story beat be like they knocked down the cell phone
Yeah,
towers.
it's not you don't even have to say anything. Like,
Sure.
it's one of those things where if you don't mention it, people usually won't think about it.
I feel like I'm the type that because
That's
during Kid Detective there were multiple moments where I was like, why isn't he using his cell phone?
For what?
Well, the ending.
Oh yeah, but that's shock.
Yeah,
And the first thing he does afterwards is use his cell phone.
he wanders around.
He confirms his suspicions.
Sure.
That is what he does. And if you wouldn't be shocked for a couple minutes after that, you're a liar.
No, I'm different, man. I would be like,
Oh, I've seen this before.
yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
No, I feel like just a moment of being like, oh, the cell phone towers are done.
That's something
all you
like
need.
that would take me out of it.
You think so?
Because I don't give a fuck. It's like
I guess there's just two different types of people.
like it's just I'm sitting down to watch this movie,
Mm-hmm.
not to pick it apart.
Well, the thing is, in like modern day movies, stuff set in present day, and I think this goes back to like cinema sins and stuff like that,
Mhm.
like people critiquing every bit of it. It's so much easier to just be like, this movie is set in the 80s, instead of just being like
Yeah.
having to come up with bullshit excuses for why people don't use their cell phones and shit.
I loved Red Letter Media's review of The Quiet Place when they took
Oh, really?
they took like a 3-minute snippet to make fun of CinemaSins.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah,
was
come on.
fantastic. Yeah, where they did their own version of CinemaSins with The Quiet Place.
Yeah, I mean the Cinema Sins guy is such a dork. Like, and apparently he says like, oh, it's parody, but like,
It's not a parody. It's Fun Police.
exactly.
But like if you like to do that,
Mhm.
that's fine.
For you.
Yeah, exactly. You can show that up, but it's just one of those things you can't say this is wrong.
Uh-huh.
This is wrong. You could do that with everything.
Yeah.
Literally everything. There is no perfect movie. It's not a sin. And by whose Bible?
Uh-huh.
Well,
Exactly.
yours?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Exactly. There is no movie god.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe there is.
Maybe there is.
How would you feel?
If there was a movie god?
And
there was
the
like,
end of your life.
okay.
You learn that's the only god there is.
That he just like sits
It's
there and
just
watches
a movie
movies.
god, yeah.
I would want to know his top 4 directors.
Who's your Mount Rushmore of directors?
God.
He's like, God, me.
Yeah, because he would be
Me.
all 4.
Ooh, and me.
No, the last one would be like, oh, it would be something funny. The Farley brothers.
Yeah, the Farrelly brothers.
Farrelly
yeah,
brothers.
yeah. Oh, God. What were we talking about before we got into this tangent?
Projectors and Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead, yeah. No, Night of the Living Dead is one of the most solid short horror movies still to this day.
Yeah,
like I
definitely.
think. And there is CinemaSins would have a fucking field day with that.
Yeah.
Why is this woman not doing anything throughout the entire movie?
Yeah.
You know?
Stupid.
Exactly, things like that. Like,
Mhm.
why is she just sitting there?
I mean, some of the acting does feel a little dated, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, and it's also dated because none of those people were professional actors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although, fun fact, the name of the actor, I think it was Dwayne Jones,
Mm.
who plays Ben,
Oh, yeah, the main
the
character.
main character. They named a Walking Dead character after him.
Oh,
Just-
that's awesome.
Just Dwayne Jones.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
Good little tie-in.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Mhm.
There's a million little things. Like one thing I like about that movie is they tell his origin in it of him just talking.
Mhm.
They don't have to show it because he does it good enough.
Mhm.
Where he talks about how he had to take a truck and in front of him is just 16 zombies following a truck, like
Yeah.
chasing it down. Like that's great. Although apparently they have turned that into a comic book.
Oh, that's cool.
His little thing, yeah.
I think it's really interesting how the zombie has evolved, because in that movie it's very different than what
Yeah.
we see nowadays.
It's incredibly different. And like I figured going into it that it would be a virus.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how all of them are now. So I thought first zombie movie,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be the same thing. But it has one of the most interesting starts to a zombie thing ever,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never used again.
Yeah.
Which is shocking because this is in public domain.
That's crazy.
Me and you could make a Night of the Living Dead 2.
We should.
We can. There's nothing stopping us.
Oh man.
And we could also legally make a parody of James Bond.
That'd be great.
We should.
We should call
make that one movie.
We should.
Night of the Living James Bond Part 2.
Bames John is sent in to kill all the zombies.
James Wick.
Yeah, James Wick. We also watched. We could talk about Trespass really quick. Just
for fun.
Just for fun.
Trespass is a wonderful little movie.
Yeah,
it really is.
Fun.
It's a fun little movie. It's a fun movie to show your friends if you got nothing to do.
Yeah. And partway through it, I was telling you this really reminds me of Green Room.
Yeah, it does. It has that feeling. It very much does. Of you really didn't do anything wrong, but you're too far in.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a great point.
Yeah.
I actually think, and I know you're going to be the opposite. I think I like Trespass more than I like Green Room. I really do.
The opposite.
Yeah,
exactly.
I thought. But there's just, I think that story. Maybe it's the fact that it's a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And we get more time to know these characters, even though we don't really get to know them. We get to know how they react in these situations, which is still interesting, I think. Because, who knows how me and you would react if we decided to hunt for gold and we got stopped by a bunch of gangsters who were like, why are you here? And I probably wouldn't react like William Sadler.
No.
Where I'd be like, we're in it now.
Yeah. He's straight movie character.
He is. But and that could have worked probably better if that had been set up. Like he flies off the handle when things don't go well.
He goes so far sometimes.
I love that. And I remembered the ending of that movie being a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah.
That's so funny.
I didn't remember him being so loose. Such a loose cannon. But I kind of like that. The idea there was completely duality there.
Yeah.
Of his Bill
Paxton.
Yeah, it was Bill Paxton. It wasn't Bill. I was like, Bill Pater? For a second. But he's just playing Bill Paxton. And that works perfectly for that character.
Totally.
You know what I learned? This is actually kind of relevant. Do you have seen Aliens, right?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Hicks, the Michael Bain character. He's one of the main characters. He was originally played by James Remar, who was Ajax in The Warriors. Because Walter Hill produced Aliens and he cast James Remar.
Oh, cool.
And so James Remar was going to be in this, and it would have probably shot him up a lot farther. But he had some issues.
Oh, really?
So he had some drug issues at the time. And they had a coach who was, I believe, ex-military, who was teaching them how to use these guns, even though they were going to have blanks in them, and all the safety precautions, because blanks can still kill people.
Yep.
And so one day they're all doing their thing, and a gun goes off, and suddenly there's a hole in the set of the set next to them, which was a Frank Oz movie.
Oh, really?
I believe it was. I don't know if he directed it, but he had to do it. It was not Rocky Horror Picture Show. Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, wow.
Was filming right next door.
That's crazy.
And he blows a shotgun hole in there.
Oh, my God.
And suddenly the military guy is, where did you get live ammunition? Yep.
He got live ammunition?
He had live ammunition and blew a hole into the next set.
Did he mean to?
I don't know.
Jesus Christ.
He was fired immediately after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it doesn't really matter if he meant to.
Yeah, at that point.
That's dangerous, yeah. It sucks because, he seemed to get his life together, and he's a great actor. He shows up in all sorts of... He's main character's dad in Wilfred.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he plays Elijah Wood's dad.
That's hilarious.
And it's great. He's fantastic in it.
Yeah, I used to love that show. I never think I finished it, though.
I have troubles with the ending. I love that show to death, and I watched every episode, in the last 2 seasons as it came out, because I was so wrapped in the story that it was trying to tell me. And the ending was, I thought, a little kind of a... Too much.
Don't tell me.
I won't tell you, but it feels like giving up, and not in a giving up because there are other things you can do, but I am not okay, But who cares?
Uh-huh.
It has nothing to. It could have been a great way to be like a positive improving yourself ending.
Yeah.
And they go a completely different direction that I think they thought was going to be very heartfelt, but really it felt very blasé and like the character didn't give a fuck.
Oh, it's kind of disappointing.
It is, but I'll tell you one thing: the entire 9 episodes leading up to that in that season are phenomenal.
That's awesome.
And even most of that episode, where there's a character reveal played by the Jigsaw.
Tobin Bell.
That's
awesome.
He's in the very last episode, and he has one of the best moments in the entire thing, where it actually wraps up why he sees a dog as a human in a dog suit very well.
Oh,
that part
awesome.
of it is done great.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much lead up to was it a cult? Was it this? Was it that? They find a statue of a dog that looks just like him at one point, like a man in a dog suit looks just like him, and they're like, what does this mean?
Uh-huh.
And the lead up to the mystery, and it has a satisfying conclusion, but what they do with the character after that is disappointing. So
bummer.
I would still say watch it.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the comedy of it and the story that they tell up until that point, very worth it.
Yeah, I always liked watching Elijah Wood smoke weed out of a Gatorade bottle.
Yes!
That was pretty great.
Also, I think I wonder if they couldn't get certain actors back for the last season, or they decided to play up the idea that he might be crazy more in the last season, because 3 or 4 actors are changed in the they are in the first 3 seasons, and then they're changed in the 4th. Like Wilfred's buddy, the only other human who could see Wilfred, and they never explain that. Really? They give you an idea of it.
Okay.
In the last episode of why that would be, but it was originally done by what's his name? Is it Wyatt Yoke or Yoke? It's something. He's a famous country singer.
Oh, I know. I know his face.
Yeah, and he is perfect in that role. And then in the 4th season, he's wearing a mask of that person, and he pulls it off, and he's one of the Baldwins.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And they don't explain why he changed the way he looks, just that he was trying to make himself look like he did before, and then he pulls off the mask, and he's one of the Baldwins.
Weird.
Yeah. And so I'm curious if they were trying to play up the idea that he was very, very mentally ill. But overall, I love that show to death. I was able to push aside the fact of all the new castings, and because they had some solid people. Dwight Yoakam. That's his name. So yeah, Dwight Yoakam in the first 3 seasons, and what's her name? Who was the mother in Step Brothers?
Oh, it's not Catherine Keener.
No, and she's married to Ted Danson.
Oh,
Mary Steenburgen.
Never would have gotten that.
Yeah, I've seen her in tons of shit.
Yeah.
No, because she was in The Last Man on Earth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
which is another show that you love.
I never watched the 5th season because I knew it ended on a cliffhanger and then it got canceled.
That sucks.
So I was it was a great show that got great reviews and no one watched it.
Yeah.
No one watched it besides me, Mr. Sunday Movies, and the critics. That was it. We were the 3.
Yeah, I wasn't a part of that game.
No. You should have been. Maybe it would have lasted longer.
Yeah, that was me. Only me. If I watched it. Then.
I mean, if 3 of us was enough to keep it on for 5 seasons, maybe 4 of us. I was holding up 3 fingers. Maybe 4 of us would have done the ticket for an actual conclusion. Yeah, which we didn't get. Although it would have been depressing.
I mean, has what's the actor's name?
Will Forte.
Has he said anything this is what the ending would have been?
He has not. You know what? We're about to turn into a 3rd show that I like and you didn't. Because I'm about to mention a time where that has happened. Okay. And it would have been beautiful. But no, he hasn't. He talked about how the ending of the 5th season would have impacted the rest of them. So basically there's a whole. Each time a season starts, there is a famous cameo, and they die instantly.
That's hilarious.
That's a joke in from season 2 to 5.
That's a good bit.
Yeah. The first one was Will Ferrell. where he's part of the group. They're having a great time, and then Kristen Schaal kills him, thinking he's an enemy of theirs.
That's hilarious.
And then the next one is, I think a similar thing happens. Oh wait, no, the next one is John Hamm.
Oh, that's awesome.
Who is he's in a radiation suit. And they were and he's shot by January Jones.
Nice.
And he's just like a shotgun.
Wait, shot by January Jones?
Yeah, she's in every episode. Unless I'm thinking of the wrong actress.
Well, that's funny because, in Mad Men,
yeah,
their wife and husband.
Yeah, okay.
Which is funny because I'm watching Mad Men right now.
That's funny. Maybe I'm thinking of a different actress, but I'm pretty certain it's January Jones.
Right.
But she shoots him in the stomach. And he falls over and he pulls his mask off. He's like, "We were just trying to help you." And in the next season, it's Jack Black.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so there's that throughout the whole thing. And basically, at the end of the 5th season, they find an entire Fallout vault worth of people in hazmat suits.
Oh wow!
And so the idea was that they would have stayed with them. But eventually, those people would get comfortable and take off their masks, and they would get the disease because all those people the main group is immune.
Oh, okay.
So they're carrying it.
Right.
So they would have wiped out all of these people.
Mm.
And that would have set a depressing start for the 6th season, and he said that would have been last season.
Right.
But he didn't say where it went. But one show that they did do that with was My Name is Earl.
Oh, okay.
Which they're still fighting for to try to get a TV movie to finish off My Name is Earl, which lasted 4 seasons, and I still adore.
I watched a bit of My Name is Earl.
I loved My Name is Earl, and they ended that on a cliffhanger too, and they canceled it in the off season. So it wasn't we know it's a cliffhanger, but this is the last one.
Oh,
they
that
can't
sucks.
it ended. And then there was an off season, and right before the next series of shows started, it's nope, not happening. And basically, the whole premise. Of him.
He's got a bucket list of good things to do, right?
Of people that he's wronged,
right?
That he's trying to correct. And there are adorable episodes throughout it where he adds things that he will never cross off. We're one where he's neglected my brother. And it's I will never turn that off. And he even got to a halfway point in the show. There was a celebration for him with all of his friends because he crossed off half of his list.
That's awesome.
So they were trying to get at least 6 seasons because that was where the halfway point was.
You know what's funny? I recently saw a tweet that was how you can quote a tweet?
Yeah.
Someone did that to a tweet that said, I didn't know that the My Name is Earl guy takes photos, and someone quote tweeted that said, "It's so depressing that you just referred to this man as the My Name is Earl guy."
Well, that's where I initially knew him from, as Jason Lee.
Right.
I had seen him in Mallrats, I'm sure. What I had seen him in growing up a lot was I loved the Stephen King movie Dreamcatcher.
Oh.
And he played my favorite character. And I didn't realize that until I had seen My Name is Earl later in life and rewatched Dreamcatcher.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Have you seen Dreamcatcher?
I think I might have it because I have that Stephen King movie collection.
Yeah.
So
I'd love to hear your thoughts. I haven't seen it in years. But that would be an interesting one. That has Morgan Freeman.
What's the quick synopsis of that movie?
So when these 4 people are kids, they stop a mentally handicapped kid from being bullied.
Okay.
I think his name was Dylan, but when they asked his name, he couldn't say it, so he called himself Duddits. So they all called him Duddits, and that was a huge. They became really good friends with him, and discovered that he had powers.
Oh, okay.
And he being with him rubbed off on them, so they all have little abilities. In the beginning of the movie when they're all adults. Before it's revealed that they have powers, this woman in a convenience store is just where are my keys? Where are my keys? He's you dropped them in the puddle outside your car. So he is
without
just,
even
without even seeing that, he knew it happened, and she went and she checked, and there they were. And so, not to reveal too much about Duddits and all that, but there is a unnatural thing on Earth that Duddits has to stop when he's an adult. And all 4 of them kind of end up back in each other's lives to get Duddits and bring him to a specific place so this could all be ended.
Man, I really want to read some more Stephen King. 'Cause
I wouldn't read
much.
that one
Mm-hmm.
because Stephen King himself was like, I was on a ton of painkillers and this is my worst novel.
That's so funny that there's like books out that's like from Stephen King that's like, oh, that was his coke phase.
Yeah.
That was my painkiller
No,
phase.
all of them were all of his first 30 years of work were his coke phase. And then it's his painkiller phase, and now it's his sober phase.
That's
like the last
awesome.
15 years of work. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I mean, and
He
he
should go back to the coke phase. Could you imagine if he went back to the coke phase?
He would die.
Well, sure.
He's a
but
72-year-old.
maybe we would get some really good books out of him.
If you told me, bring this package to Stephen King, and he will make you a new Dark Tower novel,
and it was just a brick of cocaine.
I would have to consider. I wouldn't do it, but the thought in my head is just.
But what if you didn't do it? What if you got someone else to give it to?
I could not, in all good conscience, and set the scenario up. Even if they dangled a new Dark Tower novel in front of my face, no, I don't think I'd have the heart to be like, yeah, all right. I couldn't do it, even for the Dark Tower.
Okay, how about this? What if...
Stop trying to get me to do this.
No, this is, I want to see how far you would go. What the hypothetical, a figure comes to you in a dream. They tell you Stephen King will be alive.
Is it like a Dark Tower character?
No, I don't know.
Is it Roland?
They tell you Stephen King will be alive for 5 more years.
Yeah.
He will produce one book, and it will not be a Dark Tower book. But if you go give him a bunch of cocaine, he will write 5 books and die in 2 years, and one of them will be a Dark Tower book. Would you do it?
I wouldn't believe him. And here's why. There is no chance in hell, dying or not, that Stephen King would only release one book in 5 years.
Yeah.
He releases 1 to 2 a year. Like, he works on all of his projects every day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe it. If he was like, he'll come out with 20 novels,
Okay.
not a single one you will want to read.
Yeah, they're all terrible.
They're all terrible novels. They're all sequels to your least favorite Stephen King book. It's just like, oh no, Sleeping Beauties Part 21. I still wouldn't do it.
Well, okay, let me move the goalposts for you. No, I'm done.
Well, actually, I would love a Stephen King. Like, I would love another Dark Tower book. He's already said what it would be.
Yeah.
And why he might not do it, which I was like, bullshit, just do it, Stephen.
Yeah.
Because it would have been the Battle of Jericho Hill, which is like when his band of gunslingers, when every gunslinger dies. It's when he becomes the last one.
Uh-huh.
And I've wanted for years for him to just release an 800-page novel that is just the Battle of Jericho Hill.
Jesus Christ.
And how Roland gets all of his friends killed, and how he loses the objects that he needs to actually complete his journey. Because that actually factors in the last novel. Like, there is a plot point that they just drop into the last novel that Roland's just thinking about, and he doesn't know why he's thinking about it. And he's like, fuck, why do I don't understand. And then it makes sense in the last like 10 pages. But no, I would like that. I would love very, very much. But no amount of like you'll get this if Stephen King dies. Would make me want that to happen. But
back to Trespass.
Yeah, actually, back to My Name Is Earl.
All right, yeah, we'll walk it back.
We'll go slowly back. The ending that they had planned for My Name Is Earl, which I think is beautiful, is he would be in the middle of doing something for his list that he just can't figure out. He just can't do it, and he's getting frustrated, and he's getting angry. When at the end, somebody would go up to him and be like, hey, you probably don't remember me, but you're on my list of things to fix. And so he caused a movement across the country of people doing better things.
Nice.
And trying to fix the things that he had done. And so he stops doing his list, realizing that he has done the most good in the world he probably can.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, beautiful. I think that would have been a great ending to that show. Him realizing that I have already done a lot of good.
Yeah, you could probably easily make that a TV movie.
Yeah, easily. Like, make him older, a little wiser. Because it only took him 3 years to cross half the stuff on his list, say he's got 6 or 7 left, and they're all the hardest ones.
Yeah.
Like, because how do you exactly reimburse somebody for pissing in the back seat of their trunk. Or no, pissing in their trunk. It was a cop specifically too.
Right.
I don't think you ever see him actually like fix that, but you see it on his list.
Yeah.
As it goes, like urinated in the back.
Probably like a couple grand.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that. Well, I guess he does have that money because he won the lottery.
Oh, did
That's the first episode.
right? Yeah.
The first episode is he wins the lottery and then immediately loses it all because he gets hit by a car. And so he's in the hospital and he sees, what is it, Carson Daly?
Yeah.
Who is talking about karma. And he's like, that's a thing? And so he's just in there with like one broken hand trying to write down on this yellow pad all these things that he did wrong.
Yeah.
And then when even though he's stuck in a motel, because his wife divorces him under false pretenses while he's drugged up in the hospital, when the first good thing he does after that, when he decides to fix his life, the ticket shows up in the motel parking lot.
Oh.
And so he has money to fund himself while he lives in a motel and does nothing and just tries to fix his life. When he could buy a house and all that, but he stays in a motel so he has the funding for this, which I like. It's very blue collar show, but it's great. I love that show.
That show always was like good vibes.
Yeah, its point is great. Even though Jason Lee is a Scientologist,
he actually is not.
No, not anymore.
No, he reformed a while ago. Like he left the church, like maybe a few years ago.
They actually, because he was supposed to be in Dogma. He was supposed to be the opposite of Ben Affleck. He was supposed to be Loki instead of Matt Damon. But things happened and he couldn't. But because he was going to be, he asked Kevin to cut out a Scientology joke. Yeah. Well, Kevin it was a thing of I don't think it's not funny, but all we do in movies is get made fun of.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's fair. I get that, being a little frustrated by that idea. But I don't know.
Yeah, but apparently he's not a Scientologist.
That's great.
Anymore,
I shouldn't say that about a religion.
I mean, but it's not really.
It was a religion created 30 years ago by somebody who was a fraud and everything else they had done.
It's basically a cult.
Yeah.
It
is a cult.
Yeah.
That lady actress.
The King of Queens. Wife.
Yeah, Leah or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, because I saw her initially from Friends and Small Things, and
okay.
Yeah. She, since was born into it, basically, has been very vocal about what they do.
Yeah, and leaving it is super fucking hard to do.
Yeah, and
especially if you're born into it.
Yeah, and so she talked about how Tom Cruise, not Tom Cruise specifically, but how people who are Scientologists react when one of his movies flop. They think it's dark forces working against them, and they think he is the one, the hero, and that gets me. But back to Trespass. Trespass was great.
Yes,
that's all.
Eastern Promises, and then we'll get to our whatever we're talking about.
I don't know.
Probably
Zack Snyder's Justice League for a little bit, but
we're going to talk about Justice League. Eastern Promises rocks.
That was a great movie.
That movie rocks.
That movie was phenomenal for a movie I had never heard of before. I had so much fun with that movie. Well, fun is a hard word to use, but I had a blast.
Yeah, because the oldie Cronenberg I've seen is History of Violence. And those are sister films in my mind. History of Violence and Eastern Promises.
I own The Fly now.
Oh, nice.
So we should watch that.
Yeah, we definitely should watch that.
Absolutely watch that.
Jeff Goldblum, The Fly?
All of them.
Okay, cool.
From the first three, 50s to 60s, and then the Jeff Goldblum one, and then the sequel to that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a projector movie.
That absolutely is a projector movie. I don't remember tons of it. I remember as the process goes, Jeff Goldblum, because his character's name is something Brundle, his last name is Brundle. He, at some point in the movie, refers to himself as the Brundle Fly.
That's awesome.
Which I thought was very funny for some reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are specific images in that movie that I remember that you will probably love. So that could be a fun one.
Yeah.
But the original The Fly we should also watch.
Is that how long ago was that made? That was really long time
That's
ago, right?
50s, if not, or like 1960.
Right. Okay. So black and white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was awake at 1 a.m. when I was a small boy
Oh boy.
to witness the very end of The Fly. the original The Fly. And that is still, to this day, gives me chills. Even though the beginning, it's not the beginning of it where it's the reveal where the woman comes down the stairs and it's just her husband with this massive papier-mâché fly head.
Yeah.
And that in itself is kind of scary in a because it looked fairly real, at least for me at the age of 5, where it's like, whoa. But after that, after they get rid of that problem, 2 detectives are walking out of the house and walking down by, and there's a spider's web, and they hear, "Help me!
Oh.
Help me!" And there is a tiny fly with a human's face as a spider is crawling towards it. Yeah, and they watch, and they're like horrified as this happens. Like that is one of the most horrific things I saw.
Yeah, that's
that
awful.
still sticks with me.
Holy shit.
The brundlefly goes a different direction, but it's still horrifying.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, Eastern Promises, it has one of the most brutal naked fight scenes I've ever seen.
Oh yeah,
probably the only naked fight scene
and
I've ever
full
seen.
like everything.
Oh,
is
full.
out there.
Yeah, it is. It is
good for Viggo.
Explicit. Yeah, if anyone was gonna do it, it was gonna be Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah,
he seems like the guy who's like, no, I'm into it.
Yeah, he's so awesome.
He's an actor. That is the only movie I've seen besides The Lord of the Rings where I felt like he was a good actor.
Really?
I thought he was flat in History of Violence.
Yeah, but I guess that goes to what his character is, because the whole entire time in History of Violence, not to get into spoilers, but you know.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, but
I also thought that movie was mediocre.
Even yeah, exactly. Even at the end, he doesn't spark into anything else.
Yeah,
like it's nothing new. Like I've always said, William Hurt shows up at the end and he lights the scene on fire, and he's great. He's the best part of that movie.
Did Viggo win the Oscar for Green Book?
Did he?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he was definitely nominated. I know he was nominated for. Well, he was nominated for Eastern Promises, and he was also nominated for Captain Fantastic.
Yeah.
But
I
don't know if he won anything.
I don't think he's an Academy Award-winning actor. I could be wrong. He could have. Was anybody in Lord of the Rings nominated for that? Like the movies were.
Yeah, I don't think any actors. Well, I don't know. Because I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings guy.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That movie, the first one, I think, got the Guinness World Record of plastic or like prosthetics used in the movie.
Oh, really?
And the
That's
reason
awesome.
was the Hobbit feet.
Oh,
because they had like thick rubber on every Hobbit's foot.
Yeah.
And there's these shots of like not hundreds, but like 50 Hobbits in parties and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, and not to mention the prosthetics for all the other stuff, like the orcs that they had like all drawn up.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not a huge Lord of the Rings guy.
I wish I was into the Lord of the Rings because like I feel like people who love it, like their lives are good.
Now, when's the last time When's the last time you watched it?
I recently actually I tried to watch Fellowship. Maybe like 4 or 5 months ago.
Like Fellowship?
What that I've always said is my favorite.
Yeah, okay. The beginning of each trilogy are my favorites of all 6.
Well, I watched about like an hour and a half of Fellowship, and then I just like got distracted and stopped, and I never went back to it. But I did also watch with a couple of roommates the beginning. We were like, oh, we're going to marathon The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. And we watched the first Hobbit, and then we were like, that was a good movie. And then we never went back to watch like 2 or 3.
That wouldn't have happened with me in there. I'd be like, 4 more years.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm just like, I don't know why, but high fantasy, medieval sword and shield stuff has never appealed to me.
Really?
Like I've never
that's
watched
a projector movie.
I've never watched a lick of Game of Thrones.
Oh, you saw one episode and it was like halfway through the last season.
It was like the last season, yeah. And I was just like, eh.
Yep.
I think I did try to watch the first episode and I got like 10 minutes and I was like, this is just not my thing.
The episode you watched was like the lull after one of the biggest battles in the entire thing. So you saw everybody hanging out afterwards, which I always thought was funny. But if you didn't like those characters from that, then you weren't going to.
Yeah, and I think even with like those big medieval like fantasy fight scenes and stuff like that, I even find like the character moments are more engaging than like giant like battles.
Well, that's
like I always feel like those are just like fodder
That's
for
what-
like whatever.
that's what separates not The Hobbit, but The Lord of the Rings from a lot of other fantasy things, because it's so easy to poke holes in The Lord of the Rings, but people don't because of how the characters are.
Yeah.
It's their personal drama and like bits at the end with Frodo and Sam. And I haven't seen these movies in years, or at least not paid attention to while I was watching them. That's going to change soon because I'm going to be reading them all.
Yeah.
Because I'm halfway through The Hobbit right now, which I hate, but I don't hate.
It's only like 200 pages
It's
or so,
280 pages or so.
Okay.
So I'm like almost exactly halfway.
Yeah.
And there are 3 characters.
Mm-hmm.
There's Bilbo,
Mm-hmm.
there's Gandalf, and there are the 14 dwarves.
Yeah.
I shit you not. The narrator said the dwarves more than he said this dwarf.
Wow.
Like
That's
they
funny.
they talk in unison all throughout that book, and I can't say I hate it.
Yeah.
It's boring, but that also contributes. It's contributed to by the fact that I know this story very well.
Mhm.
I've seen the movies multiple times, and I've read the book before.
Do you ever play the Hobbit game?
Yes,
For PS2?
like 2002, the Hobbit game.
So fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
Yeah.
I love that game though.
Because it was like in the old art style.
That game is a better adaptation of the Hobbit story than the movies are. It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen all 3 Hobbits?
Don't think I saw Battle of Five Armies.
You don't have to.
Okay.
They take the last 15 pages of the book and they turn it into a 3-hour movie.
Just
Yeah.
that's
Do
frustrating.
you know the original plans?
Mm-mm.
You would have loved this.
Okay.
I can't imagine you not liking this idea, but who knows? So if you notice for The Hobbit, all 3 of the Hobbit films are co-written by Guillermo del Toro.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, and he was going to direct them.
Mm.
And
I did hear about that.
his idea and what they were going to do for a while until they're like, let Peter Jackson just make a trilogy.
Mhm.
It was going to be 2 movies,
Mm-hmm.
and the first movie was going to cover 75% of The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second movie was the first quarter of the film, or maybe third, like first act, was going to finish that story.
Mm-hmm.
He goes home. He has the fucking bullshit where they all think he's dead, and he has to prove himself alive. And then it was going to kind of be like a history of Middle-earth after that, showing, because it was going to be full-on Guillermo del Toro style. All the armor and everything was going to look like his stuff. And then it would show the next 60 years of how his style turned into Peter Jackson's style.
Wow.
And that would have been awesome.
Yeah, you're speaking to my sensibilities right there.
It wouldn't have been like 2 trilogies,
Mhm.
but that would have been an awesome, coherent 5-part
Mm.
story. That would have been really interesting.
What about the Lord of the Rings series that's coming out? Do you know anything about that?
I know it's going to be one of the most expensive TV series ever made.
Yeah, and they're like
It's already, I believe, it's already one of the most expensive TV shows ever made,
Mhm.
just by how much they had to pay for it.
Mhm.
Not even by production or casting or anything. It's just how much they had to pay for the property.
Yeah, and they're not doing a thing where they can cancel it at any time. They're literally buying like however many seasons they're
Really?
doing. Yeah, there's like not a chance of it being canceled.
And the interesting thing is, them buying these rights
Mhm.
didn't cut off Warner Brothers fully from using Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
They're making a prequel anime
Oh, wow.
to Lord of the Rings. Like, it's going to be set within the Peter Jackson movies.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to be a prequel about the Battle of Rohirrim, I think. I don't have any of these names down.
So, do you know anything about the series? Like, because I don't. If it's going to be like about what happens in Peter Jackson movies.
They said that it was going to be set within that world, but that was also years ago.
Yeah.
That's all I know is that like they wanted that, and I think the smart move is to take like Unfinished Tales and the Silmarillion and make stories out of that.
Yeah.
I think make it like 2 to 3 part episodic things, like anthologies.
Uh-huh.
I think that would be the smart way to go. Because
Like each season is like its own like thing.
you could do that. You could do every 3 episodes is its own thing,
Mhm.
and like every 3 episodes or so, it changes to the next thing, and that would be weird because most people are used to 2-parters.
Yeah.
But and it's also you couldn't start that way. The first episode would have to be its own story
Yeah.
because after the second one, and then the third one is then different, people would get
Yeah.
confused.
Totally.
So you'd have to do it that way, but like there are tons of Tolkien stories that you could use in that. And most of them are unfinished. So you'd have to like do it yourself, but there are many good bases to go off of. But I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to do something bullshit and fuck themselves.
Yeah.
I really do. I don't know, because the stupid thing would be making The Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
That would be the dumb thing.
Yes.
But who knows?
Yeah, that would anger like literally everyone.
Yeah, and how do you really top something that like how do you adapt a book again that has been already previously adapted into what people consider near perfect?
Yeah.
You know, that's hard to do. But I don't know. Fellowship has always been my favorite because it's the nice one. Like you get to spend so much time in a really nice place and learn about the history with characters that you enjoy. I don't know. Always been my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Zack Snyder's Justice League.
But I'm going to
We're an hour 20 minutes in and we're finally getting to it.
I'm going to pee.
Okay. All right, and now we're back.
Okay. So, first off, what did you like Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I did.
Yeah.
I very much so liked Jack
Snyder's Justice League. Jack Snyder's Justice League.
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
What did you think?
Oh, I've seen it 8 times.
That's kind of insane.
I you know what it was, and people I'm sure hate me for this. It was like watching Indiana Jones for the first time, like when I was a kid.
Whoa!
It was like that kind of like this is incredible, like childhood feeling of like, it made me feel nostalgic for something I had never seen before.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because it's very rare in any movie where you get to see the absolute worst version of a movie before you see the good version of a movie.
Yeah.
So maybe it's that. You know what I mean? It's that. Like
has this ever happened before?
Warner Brothers has done this before.
Oh, right, with
Superman.
Superman, yes.
With a DC property have they done this before.
That's crazy.
And just like this, they used it just to profit off of. Like, it's just like, oh, we have a new Superman movie coming out, so we'll release that old cut that people have been asking for years.
Right.
And so that's and I bet you if the whole circumstances had been different, that's what would have happened to this. I think they would have released it in 20 years. I think that's what would have happened. They would have gotten like 65-year-old Zack Snyder. Like, do you want to finish? He's like, yes. He would have. 65-year-old Zack Snyder.
I couldn't imagine the movies Zack Snyder's making at 65.
Nothing good.
You think so?
I'm going to watch him.
Yeah, right.
But they're not
I'll be first in line at the theaters.
I have such a new appreciation for him that like after that came out, I was like, I am so on board for Army of the Dead. Yeah. And I like that movie, but it was not great.
Yeah, I don't like that movie.
That's fine. I knew I expected exactly what it was. So I was going into it, I was like, yeah. I didn't notice the fact that it was basically a remake of Aliens.
Yes, which I didn't notice either until the Red Letter Media video.
And which is after that had been pointed out to me, I'm like, wow, it really is.
Yeah.
But Zack Snyder's Justice League, that blew me away. And because I had hated the original Justice League.
Yeah, it's god awful.
And not even, well, that's the thing is, not even because of it's bad, it's just the most mediocre thing that it became worse than something bad. Because any redeeming qualities there's no peaks and valleys. It's just like this one line that goes straight, and it's mostly a flat line that occasionally goes up just a little bit. And that's what that movie was such a drag. Yeah. But watching it, and also it was the part of like I love spot the difference. Like if I've seen like a movie that I've already seen and then I watch a different version of it, that is I love like trying to figure out the differences in. So maybe that also added to my love of like
it's basically a game.
It is. and the differences are staggering to the point of like you remember in Zack Snyder's Justice League how after he gets the mother box from the Amazons, the temple that they have it in falls into the water.
Yes.
Do you remember what happens in Zack Snyder Justice League? I mean, the original Justice League?
That doesn't happen.
He just walks out.
Yeah.
He just leaves.
That's crazy.
He just leaves. Mm-hmm. That's it. There was no bother to him. And stuff like that would have been so easy to keep in. And it's also the biggest difference. One, I thought this was stupid until I waited. Like, when you won't get this. I was going to say Miles Dyson, but that's Cyborg's dad.
Oh, okay.
His character was Miles Dyson in Terminator 2.
Oh, okay.
His casting as Cyborg's dad is probably a reference to Terminator 2.
That's funny.
Because he creates the T-800, the Schwarzenegger model of that. That's the whole thing. So I'm sure that was the reference that it was supposed to make, but who knows? Could have been a coincidence. At the end, when he sacrifices himself.
Yes.
At first, I thought that was the stupidest thing ever until I waited 5 seconds and they explained to me that it actually made sense. When, it's like, why are you trying to destroy this thing? It's clearly not going to blow up. You've spent years studying it. You should know this. And then they're like, oh, he wasn't trying to destroy it. He was trying to superheat it so they could find it. Oh. That made a lot more sense. Now, he he gets the mother box in the first place because when they resurrect Superman, the box and lands on top of a car. And he grabs it from that car and goes in. Now, in Joss Whedon's Justice League, it falls on top of a car, and then it just sits there until the Justice League forget about it.
That's hilarious.
That's what happens. And Steppenwolf shows up and just takes it. Yeah. With no opposition. That's,
Now, how much of Justice League was made before the tragedy happened and Joss got
most
brought
of
in?
it.
Most of it?
Most of it was finished, because he only shot for the release on HBO Max 4 minutes.
Wow.
All the rest of that money went to special effects, which he didn't get paid for to finish that movie. Like, because it was a new release, they did offer to pay him, and he's like, I do not want money, I want creative control.
Right.
And so that's what they did. So it was to finish up the special effects, and the 4 minutes he did add he didn't need to shoot him. I think he did it as both like a tease of what the future could be, and as like his way of saying goodbye, if it is the goodbye. Like,
let me guess. It's the scene with the Joker.
Yes.
And also the very end with Martian Manhunter.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All that. It wasn't originally shot to be Martian Manhunter.
Oh, okay.
It was a Green Lantern. It was Jon Stewart.
Right.
Which he has actually shown on his phone. Like, so you can find the footage.
Oh, that's awesome.
You can find him all Green Lantern.
I will say, Zack Snyder is kind of like a fuck the establishment kind of
very much so.
director, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, when we had the podcast first, I was a big who cares about Zack Snyder. But now
I was the defender.
I'm in his corner.
And I hated Batman v Superman with passion. I've grown to appreciate it a bit, but like I hated that movie when it came out.
Yeah.
And pretty much when Justice League, the 2017 version, and I bought it so we could make fun of it, basically. Not realizing how much of it was actually that different. I basically bought it and watched it being like, I was right. This is awful.
Yeah.
This is truly awful, abysmal. And I'm glad I was wrong. Like that, his version of the next one. Maybe he should only make ensemble movies.
Yeah.
Can I tell you what it makes me, I don't want to say it's my favorite change like that Joss Whedon made, because I being completely facetious about that and using the word favorite.
Right.
It's so cringy, it makes me smile. And I hate it with a passion. You remember in the Zack Snyder version, there's this great shot, like basically they get, it's at the very end where they have that dome over the thing, and Batman has to break in using a ton of explosives, like from his ship.
Sure.
And they have to fly in, he flies into it, and he knocks down the tower. And that is heavily cut in the Joss Whedon version. But in the Zack Snyder version, there's a moment where they all happen to be heading in a direction, and they happen to be in the same shot at the same time, so they slow down for them all to be in the one hero shot together.
Yeah. That's
great. In the Joss Whedon version, they have a different plan than what's going on, and them showing up where Batman is was not part of the plan.
Really?
And Batman says, "This isn't the plan." And Alfred goes, "No, this is the team.
That's amazing. What the fuck? I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and he's got such a sly smile on his face. Like, that is the greatest line he's ever said.
That's so goddamn funny.
It is. No, this is the team.
What are we, some type of Suicide Squad?
That I want to see too.
The Suicide Squad?
Oh, so badly.
Yeah.
He's going the Zack Snyder route, where he's not being shy about it anymore. He said, I made an amazing movie.
Really?
And they shit themselves when they saw it. They were afraid.
Wow.
Is what he said. So
that's awesome.
That's a ballsy
You're talking
thing.
about James Gunn's, right?
No, David Ayer.
You're talking about David Ayers?
I'm talking about David
wow.
Ayer, yeah.
Is there going to be? There's not going to be a cut, is there?
There's a lot of fighting for it online. And it's more likely after the next one comes out, because they're not going to advertise 2 different Suicide Squad movies at once.
That'd be too confusing.
You know what? One thing that they could do that would probably be a smart thing on their side, because they don't want to make the Zack Snyder movies, is release the David Ayer cut the day before without saying anything.
Yeah.
Like, just throw
just put it on HBO Max.
Or when the James Gunn one does, for a month, while it's on there, have the David Ayer cut be a special feature.
Oh, yeah, because James Gunn's Suicide Squad is going to be on HBO Max.
Yeah,
isn't
it's going to be on HBO Max for a month.
I love that they're doing that.
It's horrible for them.
I mean, yeah. And also there was that whole thing about I think it was Denis Villeneuve who was like, we were blindsided by this.
Christopher Nolan, I think, is the one who... Yeah, you were right. Denis Villeneuve was very upset, but I think it was Christopher Nolan who said... what was it? Oh, we all thought we were making movies for the greatest movie company, but we were really making movies for the shittiest streaming service.
Yeah. And the thing is that this is well-treaded ground already, but HBO Max's catalog is amazing. It's the best catalog of any streaming service that's out there. It is the worst streaming service, technically.
As of streaming. Yeah.
It is, if you want to do anything other than even pausing the movie causes the app to crash.
Yeah.
It's so awful.
They have some maintenance issues, which really sucks. Because I have had to stop watching Zack Snyder's Justice League many times because it's just like the buffering.
Yep.
Sometimes I just get a spinny wheel of death, and that's the end. And I'm like, I'm not gonna watch the theatrical version, even though I own the Blu-ray.
You have the Blu-ray of the new one
do.
now. So
I own it. No, I don't. Of the new one? No, I can't find it anywhere. Still, it's still #1 in the UK, I believe.
That's crazy.
It hit that twice. It hit that spot twice. Like it dipped down and went back up, and I still can't find a copy anywhere. Which, if anything, is good news, because maybe. Especially now Warner Brothers have collided with a different company. Was it Discovery?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, like they're like there's a huge change up at Warner Brothers, and with that and the fact that Justice League is making tons of money,
right?
Maybe we'll get. I think they should just make an HBO Max miniseries, give them 10 episodes, and let them finish it.
Yeah, I'd watch it.
I would too, and like. It would be less expensive than like 2 movies, and you'd let him really get to do what he wants, and that would bring all of those people who want that to happen right back to HBO Max.
Yeah,
like that would be an easy for 8 to 10 weeks. Like you could easily get those people in. You could make tons of money off of that, I think. Yeah, because half of my subscription to HBO Max is still because of Zack Snyder's Justice League.
That's so funny.
It's because I have access to it there. And yeah, I'm probably, because we're talking about, I'm probably going to watch it tonight when I get home. Not all of it, because I
You're
work tomorrow.
addicted to this movie.
I love this movie. I love this movie to death. I have gotten back and watched the last hour tons of times.
Yeah, that's like an amazing sequence.
That's so
I love
good.
that sequence.
And as a huge Man of Steel fan, when he goes back to the Fortress of Solitude, and it's that shot of just the hallway, and then he just walks into it, and then you hear his father talk. Yeah. And at first, it's just lines that they had. Both of his fathers talk, and it's just lines from Man of Steel. And then they start saying new things as he dons the cape again. And a lot of the things his father had said, his human father, makes more sense now working into it. It's like, he was actually building to this. Yeah. And it made a beautiful moment where he T-posed in front of the sun, and I didn't care that much.
Yeah.
It felt not... The T-posing I was used to, I
Mhm.
think, but like the rest of that felt earned.
Yeah.
And it also kind of like a little bit, I think, spat in the face of some critics of Man of Steel who were like, this is only for the trailer. Like the shot when he's got his fist on the ground.
He's revving up his engine.
Yeah, and the rocks start to form. Like, that's just a trailer shot, and I don't think it was. Because why homage it in this one? Like, it's really well done. And maybe that was a fuck you to those critics. Like, I'll show you what I'll do with my trailer shots.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think Zack Snyder is a petty person. Like,
No.
like I think he said some dumb stuff like about how Batman killing people, get over it. But like, I don't think he's the type to be like, fuck the critics, I know what I'm doing. I think he's the type to be like, okay, I get what you're saying, but I'm still gonna do.
I'm
my
gonna
own
do
thing.
what I want. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's fair. I've watched his like his Google, like most search Google things, and I've also watched his like his career up till this point. And he is lovely. He's a lovely human being.
Yeah.
But I it's one of those people where it's just like, oh, you're great, but I don't want to spend more than a day with you.
Yeah, sure.
And like I'll hang out with you next week, but I'm not hanging out with you tomorrow. Like, but he seems fantastic. But
I'd have a drink with the guy.
Exactly. So would I. 100%. But I love. I'd love to pick his brain about what he was going to do with those characters for Justice League, and like he already talked about. And I'll say it in a second, but. About like Batman and his history and why Robin's dead and things like that. And his explanation for that is awesome. But I had a point. Oh yeah, his Google most searched Google. One of them is does Zack Snyder's Justice League contain nudity? And his answer was, that'd be awesome.
That's great.
You heard what he said recently about like what he'd like to direct, right? No, he said straight, and it was just a Facebook comment that really solidified for this for me to be hilarious. He's like, I'd direct a porno. I'd love to. and somebody commented like, this man just keeps talking.
Yeah, he doesn't know when to stop talking.
And straight, he doesn't have a filter at all, and I kind of admire
Which is pretty
that.
awesome.
I love that. Yeah, he's very, very straightforward.
I mean, one of the funniest things he's done recently is there's that whole... The big meme going around right now is that a scene of Batman giving oral pleasure to a woman, to Catwoman. It was taken out of the Harley Quinn show. Yeah. And it was quoted as the guy said, because heroes don't do that.
Heroes don't do that.
And everyone's been like going like, oh, this is this and this and this and this. But then Zack Snyder tweeted a picture of Batman doing that, and then all he says is canon.
Beautiful.
Which is so goddamn funny.
I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
And I accept it.
Yeah, why
I accept
not?
that as headcanon. That would have happened. And you know, it's really funny. And it's only Warner Brothers who would be like, heroes don't do that. Because the DC Comics, like New 52 especially, like Catwoman, like 2011 run of Catwoman. I've read the like first 6 issues. It is one of the like sexiest, like supposed to be sexy comic books I've ever read. They fuck all the time on rooftops,
like her and Batman.
Yeah, like he doesn't take the cowl off.
That's so funny.
And neither
of course he would,
and neither does she.
Yeah,
and like they keep that the masks on, and they but all the time there are like images of scattered bras and shit in every first, like at least the first 5, like it happen all the time. And now they're married in the comics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they usually have gimmicks that last a year. So I don't know if they still are, but like a couple years ago, that was a huge thing.
Right.
The wedding, it was called.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I believe the cover. I don't think because it was supposed to be Bruce Wayne marries Selena Kyle. Like I'm sure that's what happened, but
it's not Batman.
Yeah,
marrying Catwoman.
I believe as for fun, that is the cover.
Yeah,
is like he's in a suit and tie and he's got the cowl on.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've actually been reading. I just finished the new 52 run of the Justice League. All 52 issues.
How was that?
Great.
Yeah.
The first like volume is basically Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's that basic idea. Only it's not Steppenwolf. He's in it a little bit, but it's mostly Darkseid. Basically, he's coming, and instead of like how they just stop the mother boxes, They literally have to force him back into a portal as he's coming out of it.
Oh, no way.
Like, all of them together from, like, Shazam to Superman, like, have to work together to push him back.
Mm-hmm.
And once they do, he's real pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like that run of comics is actually the first time, not the first time, but the first time he's, like, a regular member of the Justice League, Cyborg.
Mm-hmm.
And he, the way he becomes Cyborg is directly related to Darkseid, which it still is in the Zack Snyder's version, where it's like the mother box in some way. But you know the boom tube?
Okay. Yes.
The giant like teleportation thing.
Yeah.
In the comics, while they're trying, like Victor is yelling at his dad about not going to his game, one opens sideways and hits him. And he is just deformed from parts of his body and screaming.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it was like technology that his father didn't fully understand that was the cyborg suit that wasn't related to Darkseid.
Mm-hmm.
But because that had happened with the boom tube, on that like moment, he sees a vision of Darkseid coming.
Oh, okay.
And that is
that why the boom tube happened?
Oh, no, it happened because I believe they were fucking with something they weren't supposed to be.
Oh, okay.
And it was either that or a parademon was nearby. It was trying to make it go off, basically. But it went off a direction it wasn't supposed to, and it just hit Cyborg.
Wow.
And so it was a combination of that and his father's like actual technology that saved him. And that has the whole like I'm brooding-ish. Like he's not brooding like he is in just in the movie where he's just like dour and depressing.
Yeah.
Until in Joss Whedon's version he just isn't at the end.
Right.
And so that's the first volume of Justice League. And then there are 8 in total, and you don't see Darkseid again until the last 2.
Okay.
And so it's all him kind of coming around, and there's this huge... You know how they're after the anti-life equation?
Yeah.
There's a huge... Because that wasn't mentioned once in the run I read, which is very, like, not usual for a Darkseid thing. But actually, it comes up at the very end. So there is another character from a different dimension who is going around destroying Earths from all over the place. And he is called the Anti-Monitor. And the idea is there's Earth 3, which is like just the evil version of Earth. And there's Earth 2, which is our Earth, basically.
Evil Earth.
And well, the difference is that I guess the feeling that kind of existed when the Big Bang happened was free will. Which is why we have free will. Which is why people can be good or bad or whatever. What was at the center of Earth 3, the evil timeline where we all have goatees.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like
we
all have like bandit masks on.
Well, that whole thing, it leads from an earlier part of the story where I actually talked about on this podcast before. Halfway through the Justice League comic, they all die and are replaced by an evil version of them from Earth 3 that just fuck the world.
Right.
And they come back because of Constantine and all sorts of shit. Big thing. A big thing for Cyborg, too. But anyway, the reason they had to come to our Earth is because their Earth was destroyed by this creature.
Right.
And, like, the Anti-Monitor... so at the center of our universe was free will. At the center of theirs was the anti-life equation, because it controls all will, which is why they're all one way. And so a sadistic man with not realizing what he's done found the center of the universe and touched it.
Oh, shit.
And he became a combination of himself and the anti-life equation. And he's just this, like, kind of Darkseid-looking monster whose entire goal is to kill Darkseid, to find him and kill him. So he's searching for Darkseid. And it becomes this whole thing of, like, they are trying to stop collateral damage and stop other people while these two are fighting. And Darkseid loses. He loses because he sends this thing called the Black Racer.
Okay.
Which is, imagine the Silver Surfer, but he's black and he's got skis.
That's real?
Yeah, it's real.
That's so funny.
He looks a lot cooler than he did when he was first created, which is just a guy with skis.
Yeah.
and the Anti-Monitor's like reaction to that was he used his like control over free will to send the Flash at the Black Racer. Black Racer is just an essence of death.
Oh, okay.
So the Flash ends up fusing with him.
Whoa.
And then shoots right through Darkseid.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Killing Darkseid. And upon that happening, the anti-life equation is separated from Mobius, who is now his own problem that they have to deal with. And somebody who set this whole thing up takes the anti-life equation, steals the evil version of Superwoman's baby.
There's so much
There's
bullshit.
so much shit going on at once. And combines them into a new version of Darkseid that has his like all of his memories, but she can control him.
Oh my god.
And he's real pissed as he's just destroying things for her.
That's so funny.
Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of moving parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
it
tons.
Sounds like a lot.
It is a lot. And there are things that I couldn't have possibly read from other comics that like led into this. But it really I've been reading so much DC because of that. Like, I've been reading The Flash, which is great. Yeah. The Action Comics, which is all Superman shit. And I've already read like the Batman ones, but I'm doing that again. But like to return to Zack Snyder's Justice League, I love it to death. And that last hour, which is all fighting, is condensed into about 15 minutes. And it's truly awful. Yeah. And I'll tell you one part that I do like that they changed. Like, because my favorite part of the new version is like Cyborg and Flash's relationship.
Yeah, 100%. They're the best characters.
And some of the things that Joss Whedon did would have worked better in Zack Snyder's version, like with the setup that it had. Like, there's a point where like, which makes sense, like when they're trying to get to the cubes and shit, Steppenwolf's waiting. Aquaman and Cyborg show up themselves. They walk up and like, and Aquaman's like round 2, and Cyborg's like hell yeah. His arm turns into a cannon. In Joss Whedon's version, and this would make more sense, Flash just brings Cyborg immediately to the mother boxes. And then he's just like, you do your thing, I'm on bug duty. And then he goes. Like, that would have worked fine in Zack Snyder's version. Like, but it's grating in the original because there's no setup for these characters to like each other. Yeah. Where even you get, even if it's not outright in front of you, there are points that like lead to it. Like, at the end, well, like 3-hour mark, not the end, when they're trying to figure out, like they're going through their plan over again to make sure everybody's got it. And somebody asks, like, okay, if he needs a big enough charge, Flash, how are you going to do that? And Flash is like, with the power of love. And Cyborg's like, Barry. And he's like, with an extremely powerful charge. Yeah. Like, he instantly called himself out on it, and I love that. Yeah. Like, that's perfect. And it's just all gone. In the Joss Whedon version. Justice League, if you will.
Theatrical cut.
I guess. I mean, it is. It's literally is.
It literally is.
It's such a shame because that newer version, you could cut that to 2:45. Yeah. And it could have been a movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's what, 4 chapters or something like that, too?
Well, no, it's 6 parts.
6 parts.
And an epilogue.
Right.
So it's 7 parts. And, like, yeah, you could easily split it into 2 movies on its own. But, man, do I want those sequels. Yeah. I want them bad.
Hey, I'd watch them.
Yeah. I want the Nightmare movie where it's just the hellscape.
I would love that.
Oh, before we go, do you know what happened to Robin?
I assumed it was the crowbar.
Maybe. That's likely. He never says whether that happens, whether it's the crowbar or not. But so the point they actually reference it a little bit at the ending of Justice League with him talking to the Joker. But the idea was that Robin and Batman kept arguing. Like, Robin's like, no, I can take him. I can take him down. And Batman's like, no, you can't. I can't. Why do you think you can? So he tries on his own anyway. Joker easily kidnaps him, brings him to Wayne Manor, beats him to death, and burns it down.
Wow.
Which is why it's burned down in Batman v Superman.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Yep. Which is, Justice League, the new one, has also turned me around on the screenwriter Chris Terrio. The
Right.
Academy Award-winning screenwriter who I thought was fucking awful.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, it's probably because in a lot of his recent movies, the director may have gotten in the way.
Yeah.
Like Batman v Superman, I think, is an example of that.
He wrote Rise of Skywalker.
That's
right?
exactly what I was going to say next. Is like, and this Zack Snyder's Justice League, he has sole writing credit, like written by Chris Carter. I think no, Chris
Terrio?
Carter's X-Files.
Terrio?
Yeah, Chris Terrio.
Yeah.
Chris Carter created the X-Files. Whoops. No. Would you recommend Zack Snyder's Justice League?
I would.
Everybody should.
I definitely. Well, here's the thing, and we are part of a group of people that, in the sense that we saw Justice League,
yeah.
and we all thought it was terrible, and then we saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, and we were like, "That's great.
Yeah.
This is much better." I'm interested to hear opinions from someone who hasn't seen either.
Okay.
And then just went in for Zack Snyder's.
Fair. Well, my
But
dad.
but myself, I would say it's a good movie.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot, and I'd recommend it.
There you go. My dad had not seen the original version, and he was very interested in to see where everything went. He was just afraid, knowing that there were canceled sequels, that it would be left like open ended.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. It is, but not. It teases. It doesn't like. There's not a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
it's not too open.
No, it's just like there are enemies coming at some point in the future. That's what you know.
Yeah.
But other than that, no, it works very, very well closed off. He had questions. He's like, is Superman in the next one? I was like, yes. He's like, did they explain it? I was like, yes. It is fully explained.
That's great.
It happens, yeah.
But would you recommend Justice League?
No.
Yeah.
It's all for me. No, yeah, absolutely. 100%, because it ironically they nixed it because it lacked heart and humor when it had more heart and better humor than the version that they came out with. And you know what was the breaking point for him? Why they changed it all? Like the scene where they're like, we're starting over.
No.
When Flash at the end goes like reverses time for everything to like he's running and it's all recreating behind him.
Which is like the
best part.
The best part of the whole movie.
And
yes.
and they just didn't get it.
Wow.
The Warner Brothers execs did not understand
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Which explains why it's not even in that snippet part of when he's like doing it for Superman to like bring him back to life. It's not in that version, but in Zack Snyder's, he is late.
Right.
When he goes to like touch the cube. So it's slowed down a little bit so he can do it right.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. The Flash, it was so much more improved in
he was
Snyder's.
Vastly improved, and so was Cyborg.
Yeah.
And then when they said that he was the heart of the film, and then he wasn't. And then
Yeah.
he was.
Yep.
I don't know, Jake.
Yeah.
I don't. Warner Brothers doesn't.
You're going to get gray hair, Nick.
I want Justice League 2. I want it.
Give me Justice League.
It's right there. I'll give you money.
Yeah.
I'll give you a lot of money.
I'll deliver cocaine to Stephen King. I'll do it. Don't think I won't.
I won't. You might. Even if they offered me The Dark Tower and Justice League 2 and 3, I'd still be like, no. Why are you making this worse for me? What else are you? What else could you possibly offer me at this point?
Okay, how about this? No, I think this is a good place to wrap everything up.
Yeah. Oh, actually, we should give each other movies to watch for the next week.
Oh shoot, you're
Just
right.
real quick. I got one.
You got one?
Yeah.
All right, let me hear it.
Yojimbo.
Yojimbo, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up?
Yojimbo.
Yojimbo. Hey, what's up?
Have you seen? You probably have seen, but have you seen Eyes Wide Shut?
I have seen Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay, then I will give you Dr. Strangelove.
Is that on HBO Max?
It is.
Ah, sweet. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Ah, now I have to watch it.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
Doing this again.
Yeah, we'll definitely do this again next week too.
And yeah, we're gonna try to keep going with it. And now it'll be up on Spotify. You might even be listening to it on Spotify right now. But yeah.
We might have a crossover soon, which will be fun.
Yep.
That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How did we used to end the podcast?
We'd say goodbye, but I have something for the very end.
Okay.
All right.
Should I say goodbye?
Yeah, well, we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening, David Lynch.